Hello, Wine Guides, Team Wino, and many other teams representing tonight. We are so happy to welcome you to our webinar called Blazing Fast Starters. And this is a call that we designed for our newest wine guides so they get some great training the first week of every month. And this month I have asked Lori Stryker, a director from Arizona, to be our featured speaker because as soon as I heard that she developed some new training about how to run successful events the Stryker way, I was all over it, and so we scheduled this call. Now Lori has some serious credentials, as you see there, these bullet points. In 2013, she was named the Rookie of the Year. She earned the incentive trip to Costa Rica, Aruba, and Cabo, all three. In 2013, number one in event sales. 2014, top event average, which means her sales per tasting was the highest in the company. And in 2014, she won the Above and Beyond Award, which is one of the top awards in the company, and it recognizes someone who has gone above and beyond to help the tribe, and Lori has certainly done that. You are probably involved with a team who, when you joined, they said, listen to this call by Lori Stryker. She'll teach you how to sell more, or she'll teach you how to avoid the one-bottle buyers. So many of you know Lori. She's very helpful on the grapevine, too. She answers lots of questions, and we've all just been loving her training over the years. If you are new to our company and you don't know Lori, let me introduce you to something that you may already know about Lori, and that is that her husband Ted is the reason we have Bellamente and are donating $1 to the American Brain Tumor Association in his honor. Ted is just amazing. I'm getting a little teary-eyed just looking at these pictures that I've seen many, many times, but you know, he was diagnosed in November of 2014, and Lori was just the most amazing caregiver to him. And he passed away September 24th. So, you know, it's been a hard 4 months for Lori, and we're just really thankful that she's here with us tonight to share her great training. And I think a testament to her ability as a salesperson and wine guy with Traveling Vineyard is the fact that since she lost Ted, she has had almost $20,000 in sales, which is just amazing. And the reason her sales are so high is because she averages over $1,300 in sales per tasting. And this is her sales average for the harvest year, which began July 1st. So it's a real honor to have her with us. And Lori, I'm going to go ahead and move you over to the presenter. And I'm going to unmute your line, so give me a second, everyone, just to do that. Okay, Lori, I can see your screen, and why don't you say something, see if we can hear you. Okay, Lori, I've unmuted your line.
Okay. Now you can probably hear me, right?
Yes, I can hear you,
Okay.
and we can see your screen.
Okay, perfect.
So you are good to go, and I'll let you take over the show.
Okay, thank you, and thank you, Debbie, for inviting me to be on the call. You could have warned me about that last slide, but yes. So for those of you that don't know me, you obviously know about Bellamente, and yes, that was the wine created in memory of Ted. You know, I get two questions a lot, and the questions I get are, hey, listen, I know you did really well when you first started. You were, you know, in 2013, 2014, you know, everything was great. But obviously, as you saw from the slide with Ted, life took a different turn in 2015, and I actually had to take 11 months off from my business in order to take care of Ted until he passed. So the questions I get are, you know, how were you able to even sustain your wine business through those 11 months when obviously your focus was 100% completely on my husband and taking care of him? And then also, how were you able to basically pick right up? You know, he passed away in September, and October we had his celebration of life, and I literally restarted my business November 1st. So the numbers that Debbie just threw out at you are really since, basically since November 1st. And so I kind of created a presentation that I'm going to go through with you guys to show you, number one, how to work smarter and not harder. So you're not killing yourself. You're not out of the house for 1,000,000 hours a week or a month away from your family just to be able to make some money. And you'll see towards the end of my presentation, you guys are lucky because it's kind of a sneak preview to the presentations I'll be giving at 4 different regionals coming up. You guys will be the first ones to actually get to see it, on how it is I was able to sustain my business through those 11 months that I was home with Ted. So, running a successful event Stryker style. I will caution you right now, for those that have never heard me speak or haven't heard any of my presentations or training calls before, I'm very, how shall we say, colorful in how I say things and do things and how I conduct my own business. So I always put out a little disclaimer before I forget, in the beginning of all my presentations to everybody, that this is how I do things and this is what works for me. If your personality is such that you cannot see yourself saying or doing some of these things, please do not attempt it. Because at the end of the day, you still need to be genuinely you when you're in front of your tasting event, at your tasting event, because no one is going to believe you if you're up there trying to fake it, right? So as I go through, my hope is that by the end of this presentation, you'll just pick up a couple of tips that you can maybe change up your business and that it helps, but certainly don't feel like you have to take on my quote-unquote attitude, so to speak, when running your events. So everything starts with host coaching. I did host coaching training 3+ years ago for the company, and have done it a lot since, but I think it bears repeating. For the most part, I think a lot of us are really good now with host coaching, and we understand the importance of host coaching. Why do you want to host coach? Well, first of all, it helps you vet your host. You want to make sure that the whole reason why she's asking you to come and do a tasting for her is because she understands what it is that you're doing. You want to be able to set your expectations right from the very beginning and explain your why. You want to be able to tell them why it is that you do this. And in my case, it was obviously, to help out with bills or whatever your why is. But more importantly, when you host coach in the very, very beginning, and I'm talking before you even set a date in your calendar, you want to make sure that you and your host are on the same page as to what it is that you actually do. And if you're really new to our business, you might want to sit back, think about, discuss with your wine mama what it is. If you're not even sure exactly what it is we do and why we do it, then you have to figure that out first in order to be able to talk to your host about it, because you have to know why you're doing it and what we do. We don't simply just show up with 5 bottles of wine somewhere where anybody asks us, open 5 bottles of wine, start pouring for people, and then at the end, pray that we're going to get some orders. That's obviously not what we do. Another reason a host coach is it saves you from being used for wine. A lot of people are afraid to ask some pertinent questions that we'll talk about to make sure that you are not just the bartender. We're out there advertised all over the internet. As you see, in the last couple of years, our presence is huge now, not only on social media, but on Google and all over the place. But one of the things that we are known for is, and that makes us different, is that we do free in-home wine tastings. The problem is people see the word free and they run with it. And so they think, oh, well, I'm having all my girlfriends over for, my best friend's 40th birthday party, or My best friend is getting married and I'm throwing her a bridal shower. Why don't I just get in touch with the traveling vineyard and have them bring their wine over? And at the end of the day, what they really want is for you to just bring your wine so that they can drink it, not necessarily a structured educational event where at the end of it, after trying 5 bottles of wine, you decide what your favorites were and you order them to support the host. So host coaching saves you from being used. It will increase your event average. I promise you that. When you stop thinking that you have to have this really full calendar in order to make a lot of money, when your mentality changes and you start really getting into coaching your host, you will find that you don't have to do 10, 15, sometimes 20 events a month to make the same amount of money that I'm making in 4 events. So all that comes back to host coaching. And lastly, no more surprises. You will not show up someplace and there's 3 other vendor tables set up where people are selling candles and jewelry and and whatever else, or you show up and all of a sudden it's some sort of party that you had no idea that it was because it wasn't explained that way. And lastly, you won't show up to an event where your host has kind of gone around behind you and let her guests know that, hey, just come on over, put your feet up, enjoy some of this wine. I'm going to have some food. No pressure to buy. None of that. I really just want you guys to stop by whenever you can between 7 and 9, drink a glass of wine, and say hi to me. That's a surprise, and that's a no. So if you host coach, her and you are on the same team from the very beginning, and that will not happen. So setting your expectations. I cannot stress enough how important this is. When you set your expectation, your host knows literally from jump exactly what it is you do, why you do it, what you expect from her, what she can expect from you, and when at the end of setting your expectations, when you two are in agreement and she has no problems whatsoever with your expectations, you have started a dream team with your host. That is when you book a date. Okay? You don't book a date and then figure out host coaching later on. All right? So one of the things that I actually say, and you can say this, you can follow it up in an email, you can do both, either or, as long as you convey basically this message to your host, it seems to work really well. And this is what I say, I am so excited for our event. Keep in mind, you will always see me use the word our, like her and I are already a team. It is not a her versus me, okay? I'm so excited for our event. I promise to make this as easy on you as possible. But since it's alcohol, there's some pretty strict regulations on what we can and cannot do. So I will, bold letters, handle all of the marketing for our event, including a Facebook event and a text message invite, which you and I all know means red stamp. She may not know what that is, but you guys do. Then all you have to do is click on the people you want to invite. I promise this is going to be the easiest and most fun in-home event you have ever hosted. We need to be sure, though, that we're going to remind people that the purpose of our events is, of course, to have a fun and educational wine experience, but also for them to order their favorites at the end to support you. This isn't just a party with my wine and your yummy foods, and then you can add an LOL or a smiley face, whatever it is. If you're talking to them, you obviously say it with a smile, giggle a little bit. We will need to make sure our event is at least, my number is $350. You pick whatever number you want that you feel comfortable with and fill in the blank. We will need to make sure that our event is at least $350 in orders for me to recoup my expenses and for you to earn awesome host rewards. Again, I promise to do most of the work for you, and I will be available to answer any and all questions you or anyone may have. Let's make this a huge event for us both. In the meantime, here are 2 very important things that I need you to read over very, very carefully, and I will need to know right away if you're totally okay with how these things work, including your host rewards. So, At this point, I want you to take out, if you hopefully you downloaded it, I want you to look at my host letter. And it starts the one that says cheers to the host at the top. Yes, it's 2 pages long, and I understand that, but it's important that I spell out. Now, what I've done for them is I have verbally told them, and also maybe followed up in an email, how important it is that they look at these next 2 documents. One, of course, is the host responsibility letter, which, as we all know, has to be signed and given to you prior to you beginning your tasting. So we all know what that is, right? But the other thing that I make sure all of my hosts read over in its entirety, and I get agreement from them, is my cheers to the host letter. And as you're reading through it, you will see that, first of all, what I do is I list that we have some fantastic host rewards. The first one is the almost $100 in free wine that I'm going to bring for you and your friends to share. The second is that you're going to get between 10 and 25% off all of the wine you personally order based on all of your guest orders. The third one is free bottles of wine with your personal order of 3 bottles and up to 3 half-price accessory items for tastings booked from your event. Now, why do I spell that out right in the very beginning? Because a lot of people think that all they have to do is send the host rewards flyer for the month, and they're just going to assume that that host read it, read all those little tiny, words and disclaimers at the bottom, and then at the end of your tasting, your host is annoyed because A, she didn't realize she had to purchase at least 3 bottles in order to get any of her rewards. B, she didn't realize that her order doesn't count towards her host rewards. And C, we've all heard it at one point or another that for some reason they think that we don't have a really good host reward program because we haven't spelled out the fact that the first thing we did is walk in with almost $100 in product. Now listen, I've hosted many, many in-home events. I'm sure you guys have too. I don't know any candle company that is going to walk in and hand me $100 in candles, $100 in jewelry, $100 in skincare items or makeup before one person even walks through the door, before one person even places an order. We are one of the only DS business, if not the only DS business, to literally walk in the door with $100 in host rewards right off the bat just for having us there. So you'll see in my Cheers to the Host letter that I spell that out very, very quickly and like right away so that they are immediately on the same page with our host rewards.
Hey,
Then
Lori,
I get into the invitation.
Lori, I'm
Yes.
sorry, I have to interrupt you. There is someone who has dialed in and they're scraping or shuffling papers or something, and it's creating background noise. So if you dialed in with your phone, there's a chance that we can hear what's going on your end. We just ask you to mute your line. If you're on the computer, your line's already muted. So I still hear a shuffling of papers. Lori, could that be you by chance, Lori?
It is. It's definitely not me.
Okay. I wasn't sure if
I'm
you
just
were like
sitting
looking
here.
for some notes or something.
Nope,
Okay.
it's definitely not me.
All right. Well, I mean, we have 76 people on, so it might be hard to solve, and we can still
Yeah.
hear you. I just thought I would mention if someone could keep that down, that would be great. Okay, Lori, I'm going to turn it over back to you.
Sure.
Sorry.
No problem. So the second part that I immediately get into on my host letter is the invitations. And guys, you need to understand that this is where you truly need to take control. You do not want your host creating a save the date. You don't want her creating the Facebook event herself. You don't want her creating some sort of text message to send out to her people that she plans on inviting, because you don't know how she's going to communicate this event to them. You need to make sure that you maintain control of the integrity of your tasting. And your tasting is not anything other than you're going to come. It's going to be a structured, roughly 2-hour event with a dedicated start time, pretty much a dedicated end time, where I'm going to teach you some fun stuff about wine. You're going to get to try 5 bottles of wine, some varietals that you've probably never heard of, all exclusive to the Traveling Vineyard, and ask any question you would like to ask during the presentation. And then at the end, you're all going to come one by one and you're going to order your favorites. And that's how we're going to support our host. You have to make sure that you maintain that integrity. That is what your wine event is, okay? So I make sure she understands, yet again, that I'm the one that is going to be creating all of the marketing material for you, okay? Again, I highlight, be sure they understand that this is a wine buying event, all right? Again, I just mentioned what it is. The purpose is an educational event. I also make sure people know from the get-go that I only accept Visa, MasterCard, Discover, and debit cards. I do understand that Traveling Vineyard is okay with checks. Lori Stryker is not okay with checks. So I choose with my business to not accept checks. That is a Lori thing, not a TV thing, okay? Then I get into how many people. That's a biggie. I see all the time on the grapevine, people are freaking out because, oh my God, I did the Facebook event and my host invited 457 people to the tasting via the Facebook event, and we already have 40 RSVPs. What am I going to do? So that to me tells me, that right there is a huge red flag to me, that you have not communicated to your host in the very beginning that we are limited to 18 wine buying supportive guests. Why 18? Because if you add her in and you add you in and maybe her spouse and maybe someone sneaks in at the end because, you know, they did an RSVP or whatever, you're up to about 22, 23. Anything more than that, and honestly, it's kind of like they don't even really get enough wine in their glass to food pair, to taste by itself, to really make any kind of decision on whether or not they enjoy the wine. So what I tell my hosts is I need at least 10, no more than 18. And I let them know, you'll see under number of guests, I will be bringing 2 whites, 2 reds, and a sweet dessert wine. That's a lot of wine for less than 8 people and not enough for more than 20. So we are limited to 18 supportive guests. Now, the 2 whites, 2 reds, and a sweet, again, that's a Lori thing. I don't care what my host says. I'm bringing the same thing, 2 whites, 2 reds, and a sweet. I'll use the example that just happened to me this past weekend. My host swore up and down that none of her guests drank sweet wine, and she begged me to bring a 3rd red, 2 whites, and 3 reds. And I said, no, I'm sorry. My business model is 2 whites, 2 reds, and a sweet dessert wine. Well, the sweet dessert wine was Fasada. Wouldn't you know, at the end of the night, every single person except her bought 3 bottles of Fasada. So really what she meant was, I don't like sweet wines, so don't bring a sweet wine because I don't drink the sweet wine. You have to remember, when you start leaving it up to your host to pick out the wines that you're going to be showing, you're opening yourself up to, number one, the possibility that that wine goes out of stock, goes low, whatever it is, before you actually get to the event. Number 2, she's going to want you to bring the wines that she likes. Well, listen, guys, you've already spelled out to her in the host rewards, you're going to get an order from her. You have to get an order for her in order for her to get her free bottles, right? So she's already in order. So let's not worry too much about the host. Let's worry more about the other 15 people that are going to be there, and those are the orders I'm more worried about. My host is already going to order. So Lori does not give the host a choice. I never send them the tasting set list. No. I do 2 whites, 2 reds, and a sweet dessert. I do keep an Excel spreadsheet. I will tell you this much. I keep an Excel spreadsheet, and I put what the host, who the host was, the date, and each wine that I showed, so that when I get a booking from that event, what I do is I make sure I don't repeat any of those 5 wines, because I want my hosts to have another 5 wines for free that I'm bringing to her house. I don't want to repeat any. I don't want to repeat Fasada. She already had it. So I'll bring Beeline. Okay, so moving on to glasses. We all know we bring them. Big one for me, encourage your guests to arrive on time. You'll see that's in huge letters. The reason for that is I find it rude. Honest to God, I find it rude if my wine tasting starts at 7 and you show up at 7:45, making a scene as you're coming in, apologizing left and right that you're so late, and we're already a wine and a half in, and they've missed my housekeeping rules, and they've missed why the Traveling Vineyard, and they've missed what makes our wine so different than, you know, your mass-produced store-bought wines. What that person has missed is the value of us. the value of our wines, the value of why are you going to pay $17 for a bottle of my wine versus drive down the road to the liquor store and pay $12 for that wine. They've missed all that, okay? So my rule is you must be on time to try the wine. And it happened on Saturday night. Someone showed up. He was about 50 minutes late, and I wouldn't let him participate. I asked him to please take a seat, in the kitchen where all the food was. I said, help yourself to any of the food pairings. If there's any leftover wine at the end, you are more than welcome to sample any of the leftover wines, and I will even help you as far as how to food pair with it. So, but that's a Lori thing. I don't let them participate, okay? Seating, pouring, obviously, you know that the hosts are the ones that pour. We don't. I let them know how the event is going to go, that I'll present a short description of each wine. I go over the 4 wine tasting steps. The idea is that they need to walk out of there having learned something. And what I tell them is, hey, listen, this really it's alcohol. This can't be viewed as Lori came in with 5 bottles of wine, got all of Sally's friends drunk, took all their orders and left. No, this is a structured, fun, educational event with a dedicated start time, a dedicated end time. It is not a drop-in. It is not a come and go. This is my business. This is an actual tasting event. It is not a party with free wine. So I let them know, kind of how it's going to work. Again, I mentioned that they're her rewards. I say the guests can order accessories and wine at this time, and then you get rewarded, again, big letters, based on your guest orders. Rewards require your personal order of at least 3 bottles. Please see Host Rewards flyer. Again, how many times now have I said it to her? So again, no surprises, guys. You're coaching your host. No surprises. I talk about how my wine tasting cannot coincide with any other vendors or any other events. I talk about the host responsibility letter, shipping. I talk about how, it takes roughly 2 weeks, and you can adjust that depending on where you live. For the wines to arrive, it'll come directly to you, but the guests do have an option to ship directly to their home or office for an additional nominal fee. Are they someone not able to attend? No problem. I'm going to have an exclusive link for your non-attendees and anyone wishing to place an outside order to help support you. And I tell her, also encourage them to maybe schedule their own tasting so that they too can take advantage of the host rewards. Many of my hosts get outside orders to earn half-price accessories, but just be sure, as you're collecting them, Sally the host, that you get all the information I need, or hey, just forward their name and number to me and I'll take care of it. I talk about food pairing. Here's another thing I see on the grapevine all the time. SOS, help, my host went rogue. She's serving X, Y, and Z when I sent her A, B, and C. Oh my God, what do I do? Which one's going to go with which? That doesn't happen to me. Honest to God, that does not happen to me. So here's what I say. Okay, my host with the most, while I love creativity, you can only choose from the food pairing selections I send to you. I don't call them food pairing choices, because choices to me mean the definition is you have a choice. In my case, you don't have a choice. They are selections. So you're going to pick one of those selections. There's going to be, and I tell them, small bites, cheeses, chocolates, whatever. I also say, please do not serve something that isn't listed. Also, please have some green grapes and lemon wedges on hand for a demonstration I like to do. I know some of us put green grapes and lemon wedges in our Somology tins. I don't do that. I have my host do that. It's not that big of a deal. She's at the grocery store anyway. Pick up a bunch of grapes and 1 single lemon. She takes care of it. I leave my Somology tins for other things. And at the very end, again, just please respect my time and expense. I take my job seriously and count on it as a source of income for my family. If there is any possibility that you may need to reschedule your tasting, meaning if you don't agree with some of the stuff you just read in this letter, please let me know immediately so that I may have an opportunity to fill your spot with another. And then I talk about how I personally purchased the wine for your event at a cost, and when it reaches $350, I earn a bonus, blah, blah, blah. So, host responsibility, or host coaching letter, I'm sorry, cheers to the host letter is absolutely, positively mandatory, especially for those of us, or those of you, that are uncomfortable having that actual conversation. Let your letter do it for you, okay? So, next thing you need to do is create a Facebook event. My Facebook event descriptions all say the same thing. I do not differ. I don't do, Lori's gonna lead us on a 5 wine bottle tour of, no, I don't do that. I literally get right to the nitty gritty because I want these guests to understand exactly what this is and what now I expect from them. So it's going to promptly start at 7 and it will end with your order at 9. You must be on time. It's a perfect way to stock up for parties, dinner invites, gifts, girls' night in, holidays, whatever holiday's coming up. You know, we have Easter coming up, right, or Valentine's Day. Whatever holiday is coming up, you insert there. Be on time. Now, that's the second time that I've mentioned that. This is, by the way, when I create the event description, I am writing it as if I'm the host. I'm not writing this as Lori. I'm writing this as Sally Smith, the host, okay? I am pouring the first wine at exactly 7, so if you're not here by the first pour, you'll have to wait until after we're all done to try the leftover wine. But hey, what the heck's leftover wine? You made a little joke out of it, but guess what? The point got over, right? Bring all of your wine-buying friends too, but please RSVP yes or no, as Lori needs to know how much wine to bring and I need to know how much food to have. Now, there's a reason I never say wine-loving friends, wine-liking friends, wine-drinking friends, because honestly, there's a lot of people out there that do not drink, can't drink for whatever reason, wine, but guess what? They buy it. They buy it because they have it in the house, because they have people that come over and they entertain. They buy it for gifts. They buy it for whatever reason. Those are the people I want at that event. I don't care whether you like wine or not. I care whether you buy it. We are limited to 20 wine tasting guests, or make it 18, however you want to do it. So RSVP to reserve your glass. You must RSVP. You can't make it over, but you can still help and support me. Again, this is coming from Sally, the host, and order a bottle or 3. Click here, and I insert the shopping link that you get from event management. Only I use tinyurl.com to shorten it, and all of my shopping links say roughly the same thing. Buy wine to support Sally, or help Sally fill her rack, or wines for Sally, whatever it is, so that when they look at the link, they know exactly what it's for. Okay, they understand that I'm expected to click on this link and buy wine to support Sally. Finally, we can buy wine that we can buy, and have delivered. 10 in 10. This is probably one of my favorite things that I developed to do, and I think it's probably one of the most effective things to do in host coaching. And it's the email reminders that I send my host 10 days before the event. And that's your next download that Debbie had you guys download, that starts with Hi, Michelle. Why 10 days before? Because it still leaves you plenty of time to rebook. You already have the wine, right? By this time, you probably already have the wine for this person's event. Again, if for whatever reason, as she reads through these 10 reminders, it's not meshing with her guests or what she is comfortable with, this is yet another chance for her to back out, but in plenty of time for you to rebook, okay? So here's your 10 and 10. First one is try to get me a semi-accurate head count the night before so I know how much wine, glasses, lapboards, order forms to bring, okay? Why do I want to know roughly the night before? Because, again, no surprises. Don't tell me that I have 17 people coming and then I show up I show up at the event and there's 3. So the first thing, most important thing, is you stay on top of your host for your head count, okay? Please make sure your guests understand that this is a wine buying event. We don't want to just fill seats. And I think sometimes, especially if they're friends of ours, our hosts think that it's better if they just fill the room with people. And that way by the law of numbers, you may get more sales if you shove 20 people in that room versus 10 people in that room that all are there to buy wine. 20 people in the room that don't even realize why they're there, or they just think that they're there to try some wine and see Sally and catch up with her, versus 10 people that are in that room that came with their credit card and they're ready to order. Guess which one I'm going to want? I'm going to want that 10, right? So you want to make sure that your host understands, look, you're not really doing me a favor by just kind of filling seats. I need it to be people that understand why they're there. And I again reiterate what we need. Big one for me, do not serve any alcoholic beverages prior to or during the event. It's happened a couple of times, and I have packed up my stuff and I have left. If I show up at an event and they are already drinking and they are already pretty, they're feeling pretty good, I'm not, Lori Stryker, I'm not comfortable providing 5 more bottles of wine to these people that are already halfway inebriated. I politely explained to the host that we're just going to have to reschedule for another time. Again, my business, my rules. I don't want the liability. I don't want the guilt. Okay? I talk about where we should sit. I tell her that starting today, I want her to start posting reminders on the actual Facebook event page. It can't just be posts from Lori, the wine guide. It also has to be posts on the Facebook event page from Sally, the host. Sally's their friend. They don't know Lori. They know Sally. Their loyalty is to Sally, not to Lori. So when Sally starts posting things on the Facebook event, they listen. They may not comment. They may not click like, but rest assured they saw it, okay, because their friend posted on the Facebook event, all right? And I tell them too many times after the event's closed, I get a call from someone wanting to place an event. And you know what? We all know once you submit the event, it's too late. You can't add any orders to it. I talk about if someone can't make it, encourage them to host their own event with me. You know, they earn half-price accessories. You earn half-price accessories for each booking. I talk about no one under 21. And I know that there's kind of been some talk out there, and I've seen it on the grapevine, and I guess it really just kind of comes down to a personal choice with people. When I say no one under 21 is at my events, I literally mean no one under 21. I have told hosts before when they have said, hey, my neighbor wants to come. She's got a 3-week-old that she's breastfeeding, and she would like to come to the wine tasting. Well, is the 3-week-old 21? Nope. So the answer is no. So I say, well, maybe she can come over after we're all done. Here's the biggest reason why I don't want children at my wine tastings. Is there a liability issue if the mom happens to turn her eye for a minute and the kid thinks it's grape juice? Sure there is. But more so for me as a businesswoman, I don't want to compete with a baby in the room. Because the second that newborn coos, every single woman's uterus in that room starts contracting, and they're like, oh, and look, no, pay attention, up here, look at the fat chubby girl up here, I'm the one in charge, look at me, it's all about me, not about the baby. So for me, I ask that no one under 21 can be present while the tasting is going on. Totally fine once we're all done, bring them on over then. I talk about how we're limited again. I talk about, again, reminding them, again, these are all reminders, stuff that this is not news to her. Can't take cash or checks. Again, about encouraging them to arrive on time. And I say, this is not an event they can just kind of stroll into late or leave early. There's very strict rules about this being viewed as an open house. You all know, you've heard Rick say it over and over again. This is not an open house, okay? This is not a come and go type of thing. This is a structured, educational, private, invite-only event. So I remind her again, I need everyone there on time, and they need to stay to the end. Guys, why do I want them staying to the end? Because that's when we do the ordering, right? And I let her know, listen, if that doesn't work for them, maybe they can just come afterwards and say hi. And then I talk about that I'm going to be sending her food pairing choices shortly. And I'll send it out via email. Let's see. And then I sent another copy of the host responsibility letter so that she knows. Why is this telling me? No, not right now. I don't know what that is, but okay. So, great job, host coaching. Let me see if I can get rid of this. There we go. Great job, host coaching, because that's all host coaching now. That's all been done before you step foot into the event, right? But you barely made your tasting set back. What the heck happened? So you did everything, and I know what you're thinking. I did everything Lori told me to do. I sent her everything. I talked everything. I posted exactly what she said to post on the Facebook. What happened? Why did I barely get $150 in orders? Well, you didn't guest coach. So while host coaching is important, I have to tell you, guest coaching is even more important because your host and you have already formed your dream team. It's very clear at this point that she is already in total agreement to your business model and the way you run your business. But what is the unknown factor here is the guest, the one showing up. So why guest coach? Because you get to directly communicate your expectations with the guest. It's important to communicate your expectations with your host. It's just as important to let the guests know what your expectations are of them and what they can expect from you. It reduces difficult, annoying guests because, once again, the people that come there, they know exactly why they're there. They know it's not a party. They know they're not showing up with a toga, right? It helps you get to 100% ITO to guest ratio. I strive for that. I really want to. That's kind of a thing for me. I feel like if you can get an order form out of every single person in that room, your chances of having a $1,000 event are huge. Because remember, there's probably 15 to 18 people in that room, all right? If you guest coach correctly and these people show up at Sally's house, they all know exactly why they're there. They all know they are there to order wine. So guess what? You don't have to be a salesperson. You don't have to be pushy. You don't have to be a used car salesperson. You don't have to, try to come off like Billy Badass and force things and feel like you're beating people over the head with things. You just get to stand there and have a good time with those guests. Because what you did is you filled the room with people that know exactly why they are there. And they are there to order wine, and they are ready to do it. It will also increase your bookings per event. Why? Because we've all been to DS home events, right? And when it's a fun event and everybody is engaged and everybody is buying wine and everybody's having a good time, people in that room say, I want to do it. Look how easy this was. Oh, my God. There's like 15 other people in this room, and every single one is filling out an order form. Every single one is enjoying themselves. I want to have one of these. So it'll increase your bookings per event, and then you'll be able to have $1,000 events with less guests. No more do you have to go right to the tippy top of 25 people and hope that that gets you to a $1,000 event. You could, honest to God, have a $1,000 event with 8 to 10 people. Because those 8 to 10 people walked in there with their credit card ready to buy wine to help Sally. Why? Because you guest coached. You told them why they were there. How did you tell them? You did it on the Facebook event. These are actual posts that I put on my Facebook events. Ready? Hey, there's less than 2 weeks to go, whatever you want to put in there, until you get to try and buy my award-winning exclusive wines. And if you haven't already done so, please RSVP so Sally knows how much food to have, and I know how many glasses, packets, order forms, and wine to bring. We are limited to 18 supportive guests. Remember, this is a wine buying event. The more we order, the more rewards our girl gets. I only take Visa, MasterCard, blah, 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 bring your plastic, see you soon. I talk about how it's exclusive, award-winning, handcrafted wines, most priced under 20 bucks. I think it's important to put a price point in there because when we, as wine guides, start talking about how we have amazing, award-winning, exclusive, boutique wines that have won gold medals at the World Wine Championship, to a layperson on the street, their mind, they're thinking, they're probably 40 and 50 bucks a bottle. I'm going to have to say no to Sally's event because that's not in my budget. They don't realize that most are priced under 20 bucks. So I think it's important that you add that. I let them know when we're almost full. How do I know when we're almost full? Because I am in contact with Sally constantly. And I say, all right, we have 13 yeses on our Facebook event. How many more do you know of for sure that are coming that haven't responded on Facebook? Oh, we have 3 more. Okay, so we're up to 15 RSVPs. As soon as we hit 18 yeses, we are closing the event out. And what we're going to do is we're going to start a backup list for people that want to come and will be able to come should one of those 18, their plans change and at the last minute they can't come. So I let people know, hey, we're almost full. Why do I want them to know that? Sense of urgency. You're creating a sense of urgency. So these people are not waiting until 4 hours before the event time to RSVP yes. If you create a sense of urgency, they will respond. All right? And this is where it gets a little, this is the one that I have heard from people that they're a little iffy on being comfortable saying or typing this. I have no problem doing it, but again, if you're not comfortable, then don't put it. I say, so 2 things. If you haven't RSVP'd but you're planning to come and order wine, please let Sally, I've tagged her, know ASAP. Or if you've previously said yes, but now things have changed, can you let her know that as well so that we can open up another spot on the guest count? If you can't make it over, you can still support her by clicking on this link and ordering a bottle or 3. What that does right there for a guest is, crap, I told her 2 weeks ago I would come, and now I completely forgot that my son has a soccer game, and now I feel guilty because I said yes, and I don't want her to be pissed at me because I love her to death. What I just did is I gave that person an out. I basically said, listen, if plans have changed and you can't make it, no biggie. It's totally fine. We're going to fill your spot. Sally's not going to lose out. So that's a good one to post if you're comfortable doing it. Again, absolutely no one under 21. Get a babysitter. Relax for a while. No walk-ins. I don't. Are there walk-ins? Yes, occasionally there are. As long as they walk in on time, I'm good to go. Because again, I'd be surprised. I don't want there to be 32 people because we had 10 walk-ins. I want RSVPs. I start getting people excited as we're getting down to the last few days. They're chilling, glasses are sparkling, and order forms are waiting to be filled out by you. How many times have I referenced ordering? Hi everyone, just a quick reminder that seating is limited to 18 supportive wine buying friends. So if you're just going to stop by real quickly to drink some wine and say hi to Sally, truly the best way to support her is to book your own wine tasting event so that you too can earn free wine and discounts. Oh, and Sally's going to love you for it because she's going to get a half-price accessory. So what I did there is I just let people know, listen, if you're just stopping by to say, hey, I haven't seen you in a while, I'm just going to have a taste or 2 of this first wine and then I'm leaving, meaning I have no intention of buying, this isn't for you. Let's book your own event. I put never get caught empty-handed. Our exclusive cannot buy in stores wines make perfect gifts. We have way more than just these 5 wines available to order. Your orders will help Sally fill her own wine rack. Red Stamp. I know, hopefully you guys are familiar with Red Stamp, and I love the fact that Traveling Vineyard has our own category on Red Stamp. I always do a Facebook event, and I do 2 different Red Stamps. Here's one. I create it, send it to Sally as a picture message, and she forwards it on. And it basically says, are you coming? Hey, meaning forward these on to people that have not RSVP'd, that you thought for sure were going to come. My house, tomorrow night, 7 p.m. sharp. Must RSVP and be on time to try the wine. No cash or check, so bring your plastic to support me and order lots of wine. Only 21 and older permitted. What did I do there, guys? I hit my 5 main points. I want an RSVP. I want you to know you have to be there on time. I want you to know that I'm not taking cash or checks. I want you to understand that the point is you're going to order wine, and I don't want you to think that you can bring your 6-year-old. All that, and look how innocent that looks, and that comes from Sally. Then there's this one. Listen, if you can't make it over to my wine event, you can still support me by ordering a bottle or 3. I love the 3. I always put 3. And, of course, you insert the URL shopping link there. and you won't have to miss out on these amazing exclusive handcrafted boutique wines. I promise you will not be disappointed. Oh, and if you choose ship to host, I'll still get to see you, so it's a win-win. Again, that comes from Sally. I create it, goes to Sally, Sally sends to her guests. So what's important once you get to the event? What helps increase event average and helps increase basically people wanting to order and not just drink your wine and go home? You have to create value for these people. They don't, you know, I always start mine by saying, who here has heard of the Traveling Vineyard? Who here has been to a private in-home wine tasting? And we all see what the response is. And then I turn around and say, who here has a cheese grater from Pampered Chef? Or who here has a locket from Origami Owl? Or who here has a candle from Gold Canyon Candles, or wherever? And they see the difference, right? So what you need to do is create value. People need to understand the value of Traveling Vineyard and our wines versus the store-bought. We do it all. I talk about how we're basically a one-stop shop where, you know, we purchase the juice and, you know, we ship it over to our winery and we finish it and we bottle it and we name it and we label it and we price it and we market it and we distribute it. So there's not a whole lot of hands in our pot that we have to pay versus what you're going to find on the store, you know, on a shelf on the store of Barefoot Moscato. There's a lot of people that need to be paid when you went in and bought that bottle of Barefoot Moscato, and the price reflects that. So what we do is we ensure quality by doing everything ourselves, and we pass that savings on to you. We have limited bottling. Why do you want people to know that we do limited bottling, small batch handcrafted wines? Because we want people to realize that there's not an endless supply of our wines. We've all seen it happen. You know, when all of your customers at one point or another are going to come back to you and want to reorder something and it's gone. All right? If you haven't made that clear in your presentation, then you're doing them a disservice. And what that does is I tell them, so listen, if you find a wine tonight that you really, really love, my suggestion is you want to buy at least 3. One to drink the second it comes in, because I know you will. One that maybe you want to, you know, save for a special night in with, you know, your wife or your husband or whatever. And maybe one you want to gift to someone. Exclusive wines. Why is it important that we have exclusive wines? Because how many times have you been invited somewhere and you show up with a bottle of wine for the host and there's 6 of the same bottles of wine sitting there because 6 other people have brought the same wine? You will always have a wine no one else has had. Okay? Gifts. Our wines make perfect gifts. Why? Because the quality of our wines rivals those in the $40 range. People that you give our wines to that may know a thing or two about wines, they're going to think you spent a hell of a lot more on that bottle of wine than $17. I talk about the shipping speech. I know Jenny did a great recording of the shipping speech. My thing with shipping is you need to use shipping to upsell. What you have to do with shipping is you have to always break it down to the smallest number. That's a very old sales technique. When you break things down to a very small number for your customer, they see the small number. They don't think $9.95 anymore. They think the power of 3. They think, you know, about $3 a bottle, or if it's a case, they think 82 cents a bottle. You always have to break everything down to the smallest number, okay? So the power of 3, again, you've got to get at least 3 bottles because once it's gone, it's gone. You always give them permission to drink the wine. A lot of people, unless you educate them, assume that when they get the wine from us that they should age it. I know that's what I used to think before I started working with the Traveling Vineyard. People would give me a bottle of wine and I would put it in my wine rack and think I need to leave it there for a couple of years in order to enjoy it. The majority of our wines are meant to be enjoyed right away. They're not wall hangings, people. So I give them, people are looking for permission to drink this wine and drink it right away. Do we have some that get better with age? Absolutely, and you can school them on that, you know, at checkout. But give them permission to drink the wine because when they drink it, they need more. So what do? They reorder from you. So when I talk about the power of 3 bottles, that comes out to about, again, $3 a bottle. That's a lot easier number to swallow than $9.95, right? And then, of course, you can use any comparisons you want to, make sure they're personal experiences. Don't use someone else's experience, okay, because they'll see right through you. You need to be genuine. Use a personal experience of how much you paid in shipping for something. My thing is eyeliner. I could not believe I bought an eyeliner for $6.95 and paid $4.50 to ship this little tiny eyeliner. No, I think I was better off buying a 30-cent Crayola black crayon. And remember how we used to light it with a lighter? And yeah, I should have done that because the shipping was almost as much as the stupid eyeliner. We all have our own personal experience, and I want you to make sure you're using your own personal experience. I tell people, don't be my one bottle buyer, because listen, whether you buy one bottle tonight or 12, it's still $9.95. So please don't take my $17 bottle of wine and turn it into a $27 bottle of wine. You want to at least throw 2 more bottles on there, get it down to about $3 a bottle, and then, oh, by the way, I can get you those 3 pours for $3. Don't be my one bottle buyer. I talk about why you need a case. There are several reasons why people should be buying cases. I just had a brand new wine baby ask me, she was at her launch event, and she texted me and she goes, is there a discount for people that buy a case? I'm sure we've all gotten that question. The answer is yes, the discount is in the shipping. That's where the discount comes in. So why do you need a case? Because when you break it down, it's about 83 cents a bottle. And I ask people this, you tell me what vineyard anywhere in Italy, France, depending on what wines you're showing, even California, Finger Lakes region, can you buy a case of wine, mix and match 12 bottles, and have it shipped to your home for 83 cents a bottle, insured, signature required? People are going to be stunned by that. So I tell them, do me a favor and write 83 cents a bottle down on your wine tasting guide, because I want that to be in front of their face every single time, the entire time. That way I don't get my shipping objections, okay? Why else do you need a case? Guest accessories, right? In order to get the best bang for your buck, you're buying 12 bottles, you get all 3 of those guest accessories. I know they just changed this month, and so I think it's like $18, so you get all 3. That's also why you need a case. But, you know, if your aerator seems to be going over very well, you might want to let them know that, hey, last month I would have let them know that, hey, with 12, if you want to buy a case, you're only going to get it for $7. In this case, that gorgeous, the Libra, the opener, the purple one, which is gorgeous, you're going to get that when you purchase a case. And then I tell people, why else do you need a case? For the 3 Gs. Guests, you never want to be caught short-handed when someone comes over. Gifts, you never know when you're going to be invited last minute to something, or, God forbid, forgot your mother-in-law's birthday, or your boss's birthday, or, I don't know, invited to a bridal shower and forgot something. Guests, gifts, get away from me. That's why I need a case of wine. Leave me alone with my wine and go away. So the 3 Gs, guests, gifts, go away. So your goal at every tasting is really just to find a way for everyone to like at least one of our wines enough to order it. That's all you care about, okay? That's your goal. 1 out of 5, pretty good odds, right? To get 1 out of 5 wines enjoyed enough by everybody in that room that they're going to order it. So how do you do that? The first thing you want to do is you want to make sure that they're trying each wine without food first, okay? You want to make sure you're showing both reds, aerated and unaerated. I know a lot of us are very, very good now with, oh, should a Pinot Noir be aerated? Oh, nobody aerates a Pinot Noir. But you know what? No, maybe the experts don't aerate a Pinot Noir, but do you know how many times I've sold our Tria Private Reserve because they preferred it aerated? Would I personally aerate it? Hell no, I wouldn't. But guess what? My opinion doesn't matter. Your opinion does not matter. So show both of your reds, unaerated, then aerated. How do you do that? You have your host do short pours. So they do a short pour first, unaerated, all right? And you tell people, rather than paying attention to how this tastes, I want you to pay more attention to how it feels going down. How does it feel in the back of your mouth and on the sides and in your throat? Like, how does it feel? That's what I ask them for, because we all know what the aerator, that's really what the aerator is going to change. So I ask them for their thoughts. Did it burn? Was it spicy? And then you take note of who said that it was, all right? Then you go around again, you have the host pour another short pour, aerated, this short pour, all right? And then you ask those same people who said it was burny, spicy, or whatever words they want to use, and you ask them, what did it do? Did it take it away? Did it smooth it out? And they're like, oh my God, it's gone. Holy crap, that burn's not there anymore. Now it's a positive. Now they're impressed that they even like a full-bodied red, right? Because of the aerator. I also always make sure that the food is tasted with the aerated version. Why? Because I want people to think that they enjoyed that food pairing with that aerated version because of my aerator. Why? Because a full price aerator is $29.99 and counts big time towards your volume. That's like, 2 bottles of Double Date. $29.99, full price accessory. So I want people associating the loveliness of the food pair and the smoothness of the wine with the aerator. All right. I always ask for thoughts. I make all of my events very interactive. Again, I go back to the same people and ask about the burn. I ask them if it doesn't seem more fruity to you. I talk about my crossover wines. There's certain crossover wines that we all know. My biggest crossover wine from people that do not drink reds, like refuse, like will put their hand over their glass, my biggest crossover wine was Boombox. And I always refer to it as our light summertime red. And I sold a shit ton of Boombox because it was softer, and when they aerated it, it was already pretty soft in tannins, but it got even softer and more fruitier for them. And now these people are impressed that, oh my God, I can't believe I found a red I liked. And guess how many bottles they're going to buy of it. So when people say to me, how were you able to sustain your business while Ted was sick? I want to preface this by saying this is probably the most important slide I want you to pay attention to out of anything. When Ted was sick, I was home. It was not a secret. I was home with him for 11 months. I couldn't do tastings. So I did online tastings, like online events, and I got a lot of shopping cart orders, or what they call website orders. In those 11 months, I still did $25,000 in volume in 11 months, and I didn't step foot into one person's home doing a tasting. And how did that happen? How was I able to sustain my income, sustain my business, and more importantly, how was I able to jump right back into it November 1st and have a $9,000 month in November, which is my first month back, right? Well, this is how. When you get that beautiful green strip that comes across after you've submitted your event, and it says event success, right? And everybody breathes a sigh of relief. A lot of people think that that means their job is done. In my opinion, no. That means their job is honestly just starting. So when you get that green strip of success, what you want to make sure that you're doing almost immediately is I immediately go back to the Facebook event and I change the title. All right, I changed the title to say thank you so much for a wonderful tasting event for Sally, or oh my God, how much fun was Sally's wine tasting event? Because whenever you change the title of the Facebook event, it alerts everybody that was invited, even those that never RSVP'd. And so now they go and they see, oh, well, look at that. It was a lot of fun. Look at all the fun they had. And, oh, my God, I really missed out. I should call this girl Lori. So first and foremost, I changed the title of the event, thanking everyone. Then I sent a thank you email to everyone who ordered. And that's that last piece of paper I want you to pull out that Debbie had to download. And this is the email I send, and I send it to everybody that ordered, okay? And I CC the host on it. And the title of the email is Sally's Wine Event. So it basically says, I hope you all had fun at Sally's Wine Event. The wine has shipped and should be there by Thursday. If you're able to tell that already, you want to include that. Unless you chose otherwise, it will all be delivered to her. Because of you guys, she earned 4 free bottles of wine on top of the 5 I brought with me, and 25% off her paid order of 7 bottles. If you're interested in hosting it, and I say thank you, and if you're interested in hosting your own private in-home wine event, it's really easy. I bring, and I list everything I bring, and then I let them know, and you just need the friends and the nibbles. I'll even send you a list of different food pairings based on the wines that I will be showing. I even create all the marketing for your event, including a Facebook event, text message invitation for those that aren't on Facebook. Here are my available dates for the next few months, and I list them. All right, and I list them, and sometimes if I can make a theme out of it, like St. Patty's Day, you know, towards the end of March, think Easter wines. You get in April, I have obviously tax day, April 15th is open. Wine always makes paying taxes easier. You know, Mother's Day is coming up, and you are the reason she drinks. I always put little reasons why they should be booking a wine event, because again, they're reading this email, seeing that Courtney got 4 free bottles and 25% off 7. So in their mind, they're like, oh my God, I need wine too. So these are people that if they weren't able to commit to you at the event, once they see this in black and white, chances are you'll get at least 1 or 2 bookings out of this. Worst case scenario, they have your email now. They have an email from you that at any point they can reply to you down the line. And then I talk at the very end, of course, if you're interested in joining my team, because you always want to sprinkle, you know, seed in there, as they call it, for team members getting to join. So that's my thank you email I send out. Then I do a shout out on social media, thanking Sally for a wonderful event with pics, and I tag her and that sort of thing. Why do you want to do that? Because you want people to see how much fun it was and what they missed out on. What does that lead to? Bookings. I also send a handwritten thank you to the host, anyone that's bought a case, or anyone that's booked. When I send that handwritten notes out, I include 2 business cards in each and every one of those notes. Why 2? 1 for them to keep, and 1 for them to do your free advertising for you, so that the next time someone's talking to them about wine, they have your business card in their wallet and they pull it out and say, you got to call Lori. At the same time I'm writing out the thank you to the host, I'm writing out her holiday card, so that I'm not overwhelmed and slammed in December trying to write out, you know, 45 holiday cards. The only thing I don't do is address it. I put her name on it, but I don't address it just in case she has moved. I schedule the Wineversary follow-up. What's a Wineversary? Well, I follow up in a couple of weeks to find out what they thought of the wine. Did they enjoy it just as much as they did at the event? Do they need more? I follow up again in 1 month, 3 months, and 6 months. So I schedule that in my Google Calendar as a follow-up. How do I follow up? Send them an email. Maybe send them a private message on Facebook. If you happen to be Facebook friends at this point, I might even post a little something on their Facebook. But definitely schedule your Wineversary follow-up with them. Any special occasion card, you're at checkout. When you're doing checkout with your customers one-on-one and you're filling out the order form with them, that is your chance to find out some personal information about them. Because what are you going to do? Just sit there and stare at her while you're writing down, you know, what bottles she wants? No, you're going to ask her, so what do you do? Do you have any kids? And start the conversation. And if she happens to mention that, oh, I don't know, that her daughter is getting married in 3 months, or her son is graduating from Princeton University next week with honors, I make a note of that on the ITO, because what do? I put it in my calendar, and I either send out a special occasion card saying happy anniversary, or I shoot her a quick email and say, hey, I remember your son is graduating in a couple of days from Princeton. You must be so proud. Congratulations. What that does is you've already started creating this relationship with them from a business standpoint. You are now turning it into a friendship. Okay, you're turning it into a loyal friendship. These people are like, oh my God, I cannot believe this woman remembered that 4 months ago that my son was graduating from Princeton University. So I'll send out a special occasion card. I make it mandatory on all of my ITOs that they put their birth date. I tell them they don't have a choice. You have to put your birth date down, because that is how I am going to certify that you are saying you were 21 years old. But what am I really using it for? I send them a birthday card. Every year, I send a birthday card, or for the first year, I send the birthday card for everybody that has ordered from me. So what do? I write the birthday card out. I enclose 2 business cards. I put their name on the front. I don't address it. And I have one of those like expandable folder things that are by month. They're, they're categorized by month. And up in the right-hand corner of the envelope, in pencil, in little tiny writing, I put the date. So if their birth date is March 3rd, I put 3, right where the stamp's going to go. The stamp's going to go right over top of it. And then what do? I put it in my March month. And in the beginning of March, I pull out all my cards and I mail them about a week before or a few days before, including 2 business cards. You don't know how much business I received from people over those 11 months just for the mere fact that I sent them a birthday card. And in return, by the way, I get birthday cards from them. Okay? And these are people that I didn't know up until I walked into Sally's house, 4 months ago. Okay? So birthday cards. You always want to keep an eye on the shipping. I truly believe that it's your job to make sure that that wine gets there on time and safely. They should not have to call you and say, hey, my wine was damaged and sent back. You should already know this, be proactive, and be on top of it. Again, just because you submitted the event does not mean you close the books and you leave it up to World Headquarters to do everything. So I keep an eye on shipping all the way till it says delivered. I send an email to the host with the tracking info as soon as it's posted. As soon as I have the tracking info, I send them an email saying, hey, great news, your wine has shipped. Here's the tracking info. Keep an eye on it. If for some reason you're not going to be around or you're going out of town, feel free to get in touch with FedEx or UPS and have it held. And oh, by the way, here's the breakdown of who gets what wine. I never, ever, ever depend on that email that World Headquarters sends out after each submission of the event, because we all know by now 99% of the people don't see that. I believe that's my job. And you know what I just did? I just made her life a heck of a lot easier. And once again, I reached out to my host doing something for her to make her life easier. That's what I call a touch. Okay? And then lastly, I post on the event page using those approved graphics that are in our marketing tools, wines shipped, wines delivered, whatever those approved graphics are. I remind them that they can have a pickup party at Sally's house, because the wine should be there on Tuesday, or the wine's arrived. Make sure you get in touch with Sally. Have your wine pickup party. And then, of course, I remind them of my open dates so that they can book with me. So, what's the point of all that? Well, it turns your business relationship into a friendship. People do business with people that they like and trust. You will do business with your friend before you would do business with a stranger, correct? Yes. It drives people from your business Facebook page to your personal page, because not everybody's going to stay a fan of your business page. They now want to know more about your personal life, and now they're on your personal page, and they're starting to become a personal friend of yours, all right? It all creates loyalty. They will do all of your marketing and advertising for you. Again, anytime someone talks about wine, your name needs to be the first thing that they think of. You become their go-to person for wine stuff. I can't tell you how many times I get a text message saying, oh my God, my mother-in-law has decided to change the menu, and this is what wine I was bringing, and I don't know what I should bring, and you help them out, right? So you're their go-to person for wine stuff. It creates lifelong, loyal customers. And again, the proof is in the numbers that I talked about already. My lifelong, loyal customers that I developed over 2 years is what sustained me the 11 months that I sat home with Ted while he was dying. I had almost $25,000 in personal volume in 11 months. Do the numbers. That's almost $2,300 a month just for my loyal customers. And they were all online events or website orders. So, work harder, not smarter. You get higher event averages when you do this. Aim for 100% ITOs at each event. That will almost assuredly get you $1,000 events and your $1,000 Thrive badge. Lux points. It gives you more money for working less events, less time away from your family. Again, wouldn't you want to make the same amount of money doing 4 events a month versus 14? And lastly, your loyal customers will keep you going during your slow times. And that's it. If anybody has any questions.
Lori, that was awesome. You have not missed a beat. I'm very impressed. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry if it went long.
It did go long, and we still have most people on, so it's all, I assume it's all good by them.
Good.
And it was awesome. It's thorough. You touched on so many great things that I needed to hear again. And I love your host, your 10 steps that you need your host to follow. That was new for me. So thank you, thank you. And we're going to go ahead and open up the call to anyone who would like to ask a question. What I'd like to ask you to do is raise your hand, and I will scroll and look for you, and then unmute your line so you can ask Lori a question. All right, I'm looking, playing romper room here. Okay, Nicole Wynn, I see that you have your raised hand, and I'm going to unmute your line. Go ahead, Nicole.
Sorry, is the presentation going to be on the training pages?
Well, are you a member of Team Wino? I don't think so, right? Okay. When you say the page, do you mean the back office of the Traveling Vineyard website?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, this is
Probably
just
not.
It's not. Maybe it could be. It certainly could be at some point. But this one in particular, we will have a recording link that I will post, and I will get it to everyone so that if you want to watch this again or listen again, you can. Would that be helpful?
Yeah, I just had some ideas in the beginning that I really liked, and I know I'll forget them.
Yeah, no problem. We'll make that link available. Thanks, Nicole. I'm going to mute your line. Okay, Rhonda, I see that you have your hand up. Rhonda Rapoli, new one-star leader. Hello and welcome to the call.
Oh, no, I didn't have a question.
Okay, Rhonda, sorry. I saw your hand up. Thanks.
I must have hit it by accident when I was hitting something else.
Okay, I'm going to mute your line then. Hi, does anyone else have a question? Tiffany Carpenter, I'm going to unmute your line right now. Go ahead.
Yes, my question was just the same, if we could get a copy of the slides at some point. Not sure if they're going to be posted somewhere, if you could email them. It was just, I'm new, so it was a lot of notes for me to take. So I'd like to be able to refer back to some of the slides, especially the Facebook events and the Facebook reminders.
Okay, great. Yes, that's all great stuff. Lori, maybe we could even get that made into a Word document that we could share.
Sure.
I'll work with Lori on that.
Okay, not a problem. Yep.
Thanks, Tiffany. Okay, anyone else with a question for Lori? I'm scrolling and looking. Okay, Kim Heary, fellow Jersey girl. I'm unmuting your line. Go ahead.
Hi, Lori, you're awesome.
Thank you.
With the notes that we'll get, do you have the selection of food pairings that you allow?
Yes, I have. Yeah, what I did is I pay attention to the grapevine when people talk about what has worked and what was a wow, and from their own personal enjoyment as well as at tastings, and I'm constantly updating my food pairing list, including all of those. And then, of course, if there's been enough saying something didn't work, I also take it off. So I absolutely have no problem sending you guys my food pairing list.
Perfect, thanks.
Thank you, Lori. Any other questions, Kim?
Oh, that'll do it.
Okay, thanks. All right, I'm looking for any other questions. Gina Devine, I see that you have your hand up. I'm going to unmute your line. Go ahead, Gina.
Hi, Lori, that presentation was fantastic, and I've been living by your training since I started in June.
Thank you.
I have 2 questions. Your Cheers to Hosting letter, is it okay if we take it and tweak it and use it as our own?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Okay. Awesome. And then my second question is, my Cheers to Hosting email that I send out right now, I send as an email. Do you send an email and then have your Cheers to Hosting as an attachment, so it's like a document they have to open?
Correct. Yes.
And do you think that's more powerful?
Yes. Only because, remember, in that one slide, I said that I let her know ahead of time I have 2 very important documents that I need for you to read over and make sure that you are totally okay with. And I say it in terms of the fact that we deal in alcohol and we have different regulations than a candle company does. And so when prefacing it with that lets her know right away that she better open this and read this. Yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. I think I'm going to change that then as well. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Thanks, Gina. I'm going to mute your line, and we're going to look for anyone else that has a question. Okay, it looks like everyone who had a question has had their question answered. So thank you all so much for joining us and taking the time to learn from the best. We appreciate your time, Lori. You rock. Have a great evening.
You are so welcome.
Thanks,
you
everyone.
too, guys. Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, bye-bye.
Good night.